But no.
There's some of us who may be wanted.
Okay, call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission for our regular meeting, June 26, 2018. Can I have the attendance, please?
Barry Brownell, absent. James Curtin,
Here?
Kevin Matthews.
Here.
Harvey Thomas.
Here.
Bernard Gillis, absent. Louis Salcrup.
Here.
Ed Govins, absent. Richard Pettinelli, absent. Joe Zay, here.
Okay, Joe, you can fill in tonight for Ed. Plenty of seats to fill in for. Okay. Correction. You have to fill in for somebody else. Ed, we didn't know you were coming. Come on.
We'll just start calling them off and they'll show up.
Second.
You can fill in for Bernie. Okay? Ed Govins. Present, yeah. All right, on to the previous minutes of the June 12th meeting. We had one little correction, nothing to speak of. Anybody with anything?
I have a small correction.
Go ahead.
On the June 12th ones, on item number 7, it says 237 responses.
Okay.
Is that supposed to be the same one here on May? Are they supposed to match? Or?
No.
Okay,
Actually, different date that they
Gotcha.
told us about. That was the only reason.
That's the only question I had.
Okay, and I had on page 2, under F, it was noted that Smith Farms had their first, it has. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Anybody? Okay, I guess we'll accept those minutes as corrected. And now we have Mr. Pettinelli's here, okay. And you could fill in for, let's see, Prairie tonight.
Ooh, I'm in the chair?
Must be in charge, and you can come right over here.
Can I get a raise? Yeah, triple your salary.
Okay, on the bills.
Bills. One from Malone and McCrew, project invoice of $7,500. And that took us up with launching the survey and preliminary tabulations.
Okay, and that's our agreed upon numbers. And that's the only one? Anybody want to make a motion to pay that bill?
So moved?
Second?
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so that's the plan of conservation development. Okay, under acknowledgements, number 18-10. That's a new one for Roger Nimmergut, who's the agent with Cameron Beard, the owner, Honey Hill Road, proposed 2-lot subdivision, assessors map 005, lot 001.
These are also, it'll come to us back as a special exception because it's the interior lot application also. This is the, some of you know the property as the wine fields.
Vineyard.
Vineyard. They are gonna go to, in the wetlands this month. The Wetlands Commission has already been out there to view the wetlands. So I recommend putting this on for a public hearing for July 24th, which would be the second meeting of July or
Anybody have any questions about it before we set a date? Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved?
Okay.
Second.
24th. Any second?
Second.
Anybody?
Second.
Ed?
I'll second it.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Set the meeting for July 24th. Okay, motion to change the order of business.
So moved.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to number 7 under discussion, the plan of conservation development.
you were given, I emailed you some of the preliminary results, and this was sent to me by Malone and McBroom. And I figured I'd give this to you today, because we're gonna meet and talk about this tomorrow.
That's another thing is I've got a, violation.
Thank you.
Let Jim kill the train.
Fumbling around.
Clary's still thinking he might be out to his uncle's.
Who's that? I'll be right back. I got one other mess.
Nancy Seamus class, just like yours, right?
This is a hard time.
170 responses.
But it's a folded, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
folded.
it's a hard time, like a hard time convertible.
Folks got money on the lake, huh?
They got more money than I do, I gotta eat the right stuff.
Pardon mine if I had. Whoopee.
I like the rag top, it's so much easier to tell. The other one's just something else to break.
Nice car.
Both they are nice little cars, they're fun to drive. Gotta get one. Now, you need a BMW, you're more of a BMW.
I had a
type
BMW.
of guy.
I mean, they're all right.
Good.
It's just not, I'm too old for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more practical than
I was practical my whole life, now I'm at the point where I'm not practical
that.
anymore.
I'd rather travel.
Well, you do that, you do a good job of that.
Yeah, I try.
Good.
The thing is, I have a 3-car garage, but one day I have my workshop there. So I have to leave, if I had a 3rd car, I really like the Camaro or Mustang. And the place to put it.
My buddy has a '68 Camaro.
Yeah?
It's your story, but it's in halfway decent shape.
Yeah, I want something.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like, I was looking at.
That's a kid could buy that, play with.
Wait,
68's a nice year. Is,
68,
the
69 is
fastback?
a nice one.
Was it
No,
fastback?
no, it's a convertible.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, they're nice, but they're 50 years old.
Yeah.
So you gotta work at them all the time.
And then once you lose the originality of everything, it has no value. You put a lot of work into something, really, great value.
Let's see if we can
No.
figure out what we're doing.
No, I forgot it in the photo.
Oh, once again, Joe, you came to my. I'm glad I don't have to buy the color.
These are like,
Oh, I see, it's
it's like 10 or 15 cents a copy.
another one of these. Swedish made.
Take care.
Oh, there.
You're there, and I'm there.
Oh, this is for the report.
Right. I don't know if you wanna move on to the next.
What do you wanna go over on this, anything
Actually,
particular?
we're gonna kinda do it tomorrow, but I'll give you the night
Yeah.
before to review it,
All right,
you
well,
know, hold it in your
Well, you
hand,
expect this.
instead of looking at that tiny screen or your phone.
Or printing it out so you can buy another $12 goddamn ink cartridge.
Or mail
Where
it
do
to
you get a
work, so
$12
can
ink cartridge? Mine are like 30.
You can mail it to work and use your dual computer screens.
If you ever worked.
Okay, do you have anything under CEO report? or-
Well, I was, if you wanna go to the bill grant.
Oh, yeah, whatever you got.
So, we are continuing to move forward, this is the public information presentation, just portions of it from, last year. Nothing's really changed, the state of Connecticut is moving forward to rehabilitate the bridge for the next 30 to 50 years. It's a $55 million project on their end, yes. 55 million on their end, and they are willing to incorporate the cantilevered sidewalk on this bridge if we can get the funding for it. The DOT has been very cooperative in this grant application process. As I said before, the grant is due July 19th, and we've been systematically cranking it out, putting together the portions. The cantilevered section on the bridge alone is 16 million. The approach on the, side, the Haddam side is 1.3 million. They're going to do a, kind of a walkway that is suspended. It's a wooden one. It's similar to a project that Jacobson's done before. This thing has to be 6 foot wide to accommodate people passing, so it's, that's there. And on our side, I actually today went down to take some measurements, take a look at it, and pulled the trigger and said, this is crazy, because unfortunately, there's plenty of room. It's almost 15 feet along the roadway from the travel lane, but when people try to pull into what was the town office site, people decide that they're gonna not notice it happening and quickly jerk into that 15-foot alleyway, which I was standing in. It was an exciting moment. So I asked Jeff Jacobson to take a look at it and see if he could, based on his report from one side, give us an estimate of cost for our side to include it in the grant application, because the idea of not having a protected alleyway didn't
Well,
thrill
there's
me.
gonna have to be something there if you're
Gotta
gonna
be
walk
something,
there.
yeah, so we're gonna add that to the project. The good thing about this application is that for rural designated areas, which we are, there is no grant match. If you're an urban area, there's a 20% match required. So we're out of that. Also this year, they're supposed to have 30% or $450 million attributed to rural areas. So we're hoping that we put together a clean enough application, and there's not enough rural designations that maybe we'll be a winner. Obviously, it won't be till, I think it was late fall, December, they said they were gonna notify the communities of their process, but gotta get it in by July 19th, all loaded up, and we're continuing to work on it.
Any preliminary estimates on what our end would cost?
We're working at zero.
Gotta be a grant.
Oh, but I mean, it's gonna cost somebody.
Oh, on our end, the worst case scenario, if you extrapolate the numbers from the other side, it'd be in the $400,000 range, but he was going to crunch the numbers for a cement retaining wall and sidewalk instead.
Going where?
From the bridge to the Goodspeed Opera House. It's a 120-foot section. So,
No, they said they're gonna stop the swing bridge for 4 weeks. About what time of year are they talking about for that?
that was
Is it gonna
was
be
winter.
winter? Oh, okay. Alright, cause I was gonna say, if it was on the shoulder months where people try to get their boats in or get their boats out, it might be
No boat like that. Cut that mess.
That happened to me one year. I was stuck for 5 hours waiting for that.
Because it got stuck.
Yeah. No, it was when they were doing the paving it and they
Yeah.
shut it. They were only open up twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. I was stuck out in Niantic by the time I got to Niantic.
Oh darn.
I was stuck overnight out in the rain.
Tragic.
Yeah, you wish that I. But I made it.
Wow.
I'm looking at some of these things, they've done some of this already, have they not? Like the paving,
No,
That's
that paving,
temporary.
that was just a temporary thing?
Of course.
So,
They're looking at 2019,
That was a
2020
thin
for
coat.
start date. Somewhere, end of 2019, beginning 2020.
so they're gonna remill it and do all that all over?
Yeah, and they're gonna go through all the structural steel that needs to be replaced, and they're gonna beef up the steel. Their description of it is the stuff that they did in the previous, was okay, and patched it along, but they've made a commitment now that, they gotta beef it up for the traffic that comes through it now.
Yeah, this additional weight thing, there's gonna be some kind of a structural issue? I mean, you can't tell me this thing doesn't
They
weigh a
have-
lot.
It's balance issue.
Yeah, I know, but they're balancing it with the ballast that they're on the other side of the bridge, so it's
Right.
making it weigh twice
Yeah,
as
but,
much.
so the foundation of the bridge can handle the extra weight of the walk, it's a
I thought
balance
it could
issue.
handle that,
And it's-
lightweight concrete
Sound like the
too.
people that paved it the last time.
Well, let's put it this way.
Well, so the foundation can hold it, this
Right.
is spread out and it's not very heavy. And
It's composite, is it not?
Yeah, it really is more of a balance issue, and they have to beef up some of the motors to turn it.
Oh.
Because they require a little more horsepower from what I understand.
Oh,
And they were gonna have us go on the north side, but when they made a determination that the electrical just needed to be gutted out and replaced it, they said, well, we'll keep what we have on the south side, put a new tower on the north side. Then when we hook it up, we'll strip the south side and tell the walkway people they can go on the south side. So that's how, so everybody asked, well, how'd you make that decision to go to the south side? It was made for us, based on their construction sequence.
It's better side to be.
Does
That
make a
kinda
lot
makes
more sense.
more sense anyway.
Right, right. North side, you're going to nothing. Well,
Well, for us, it makes a lot of sense.
right, for our side,
Yeah,
side.
right. Right.
Yeah.
It also does for the boats. I mean, you take a look and you think about between the trains coming up there and doing excursions, the boats going back and forth, and even Andrews Marina, which has slips for transients, and they can't get across because no one in their right mind would try crossing that without getting killed. So if it's on, all of those people that load up can shoot across, and they don't have to deal with a designated shuttle. And then you think about the Goodspeed housing actors, I mean, they can have up to 100 people at one time in all their rooms. Most of them come from cities, they don't bother bringing their vehicles. If somebody has a vehicle, they're king. So, and there's no grocery shopping in the East Haddam Village, so they somehow gotta get across.
Now, this estimated cost they have at 55 million, is that something new? Because I don't remember that number.
That was from the presentation last, yeah.
It's going up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Wow. I'm sure it's gonna go up from there. This project.
And they have nice legs.
Wow.
How's the BCA come home?
That's why I have my.
Pushed on that today, to got the field inspection, so I hope that email this morning.
They haven't done a field inspection yet. Sounds like you picked the wrong guys.
Tell me about it. So I'm making it in my effort to, by this weekend, have everything buttoned up on this grant so that everybody's got a job to do, and most of them have done their job. Right here, this is one of them.
Just because I like to know stuff, where they're talking about structure appraisals, deck geometry, they got a rating number, roadway alignment, a rating number, waterway adequacy, a number, and then scour critical. Tell me about what scour critical is.
So the water is moving southerly, I assume that's directed at me. The water is moving southerly, and the water will pick up transport. So if we have a flood condition, the velocities of the river increase. The piers represent something that goes around and you have a velocity change.
Yeah.
You can chime in too. And you end up with some turbulence behind that, and it'll
Okay.
scour the river bottom.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought.
So they actually go out and they measure there's a hole under every bridge, or just past every bridge, there tends to be a hole in the bottom.
Yeah.
And they go out and they measure that, and they're making sure it's not getting too deep or it'll impact the foundation of the bridge. Did I miss
Okay.
anything?
Thank you.
No, the only thing you have to do, what they worry about is putting more stuff in the river.
Yeah.
Increases velocities and increases scour capacities.
Because you're
So that
decreasing.
what happens is if you have two
space.
piers instead of one, you now have a real problem. And so that's why they're trying to get rid of it.
That's why I did reduce one on the Salmon River Bridge, right?
Yes.
All right, anything else on the, what about ZEO report? What do you got?
CEO report, I've got a request from the sanctuary. To,
These are the guys who were in here before, right?
hearing a report, this is completely different.
Yeah, okay, just making sure I got the
Yep.
right.
The request is for a environmental educational program at the sanctuary. said I'd run this by, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Masterclass in Sustainable Architecture. And they wanna build a little tiny home and use it as a demonstration piece with solar and gray water recycling systems and rainwater collection systems, and they wanna do it so that it's a demonstration piece, not to live in.
You know, California, somebody in California, you get to visit California, does like a national competition in this.
You talked about these tiny homes
Yes.
having a future impact.
Yes. And what I told them, I said, you know, right now, I said that the problem that you have is it's great to teach it. It's wonderful to have. But I said, if you do a survey around the areas, there's a lot of communities that just don't permit them. So I said, maybe you wanna have a component in here is how to educate people to talk to people that are in charge about changing it if you wanna change. Cause right now, it's great to show it,
You can't do it here.
but you can't do, you know, so they, but one of the other things that they said is that, yes, but under some towns, including ours, accessory, they could
Oh, well, that's good.
exponentially grow it to the like 300 square foot unit that we have, or the 500 square foot unit that Colchester has, and
Those
use
things
the
are-
same technologies without building that big of a thing. So it's partially about technology, and it's partially about, you know, how to simplify your life, obviously.
Well, all the towns around here, their whole concern is property values. A whole bunch of those little houses
Correct.
has a negative impact, whether you like it or not.
What do you do with all your stuff?
You don't.
Tags it.
That's the
A
point, you
lot
know.
of stuff.
I'm divorced.
I got pulled into
You got
helping
rid of
Yale.
the stuff.
I got pulled into helping Yale with one of these that they shipped out to California and they set up in a parking lot up there, and they measure them for a week to make sure they're not using anything. And they had storage, you know, if you weren't sitting on it, you were storing under it, everywhere you could put. There was something, there was a closet door everywhere. And it looked nice, but you still, at the end of the day, you still don't have a lot of room.
No.
This is
No,
nothing.
I've
This
seen the
is smaller than
show.
your garage.
On the other hand, you don't have to clean a hell of a lot of space either.
Right.
So what would be the, if we were to be serious about approving this, it would be
Well, one of the things
an
that
accessory use?
Well, I think that, you know, my thought was is that I wanted everybody to understand that, you know, that they had thought this out, you know, to do it, but really under a church, churches typically have educational classes. They have, you know, things that are just outside of straight the church, education. And kind of their activities up there is they're kind of church, park, land trust, and stewardship. So they just wanted to make sure that, you know, nobody was gonna run up there with a cease and desist for a building on the lot that was being used for an educational piece. Do we really think they need to come back for a special exception for education as a church? I mean, churches have knitting events, I don't wanna go there either.
How does this fit in with our trailer? You know, we were talking about trailers on property and that kind of stuff.
If you're
I mean, would
not
this-
living in it, it's okay.
So this would fit, that would, the length of it and all that would
Oh,
actually
yeah.
fit into that,
Yeah, it's
right?
smaller.
So it's not gonna be permanent on
No,
a
No, it's gonna be on the trailer.
It's gonna be on wheels.
on wheels, and
Some.
they'll use it as display and move on.
Okay, so the only thing, the question becomes, you know, after they do it, which is fine, part of the education thing, when does it leave? That's all.
Does it
Does
need-
stay there? or
Would
what?
it need to leave? I mean, if it's within our purview with the trailers, I mean, they could keep it there ad infinitum, right?
Yeah, if they're not living in it, technically as a trailer,
Storage.
it's, well, storage or even display.
Yeah.
You know, just as, you know,
Display, that works.
There's no registration requirements for trailers, are there?
not if it's.
Not if it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you
As
know.
soon as they want it for road ready, then yes.
We don't like it, gives the, if it's not attractive looking.
Yeah, the only time it becomes a violation if it's under our regulations presently is they decide to reside in it.
Right, no, that's a problem.
So what we're saying is they could just go ahead and do that, they don't have to come to us for anything?
That was my thought, but I wanted concurrence from the
It's
commission.
classes, right?
That would,
I think it fits.
I think I would like to see a plan of it.
I don't think they have that. I think that's where the class starts.
you must have pictures of ones that are sitting
Yeah,
there.
where's it gonna be located?
Must have a vision of what they wanna do that they could articulate to us some way.
I'm just worried about the guy, there was a gentleman out on, I can't remember, up on,
Sims?
no,
No,
up on,
Daniels?
Vogel, no, up off of Mount Parnassus there, who was upset about a trailer that was in somebody's yard.
Oh, down on,
Yeah, that's.
Oh, that's all the way out on
far-fetched
Warner.
away.
We
Yeah.
won't run into that
Big
issue.
engagement.
Oh, that was, yeah, that was,
Yeah, alright,
I mean,
that was in a buddy
technically, it's
neighbor.
not much bigger than some chicken coops we have in town.
alright, I just wanna make sure that's not gonna be an issue down the road.
well, if it's in somebody's view, apparently they can pull it somewhere else on their 40 acres.
And buffer it.
And buffer it.
Well, I mean, whatever we decide.
So this is just a building class,
Yeah,
so you don't see any
unsustainable
problem
development.
with that,
Right.
yeah.
I don't always see it.
If they build something in the class, that doesn't strike me as a problem, I don't know. It's fine.
Everything
You're
is
just
something.
getting one.
Just one now.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, field.
You're gonna come back next year
Right
for
across
another
from you.
one.
It says A,
Set it up,
A,
set it up,
tiny
and
home.
tore down all those
Singular.
trees.
Is it gonna be big enough to go, actually walk into?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who's gonna make sure it's structurally integral?
yeah, these things are.
The building, they gotta get, they have to get a building
have
permit.
Any,
Oh, Honda.
Why would they
No.
need a building permit if they're not gonna live in it though? I mean, they
You
can
need to get a
build whatever
building
they
permit
want,
For a
right?
shed.
Yeah.
You need to get a building permit for a shed, contrary to popular.
But you
belief.
wouldn't need a CO. Well, you get a building permit, but you don't need a CO, so who's gonna come in there and say, okay,
You still, they still inspect it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This thing?
no, sheds,
Oh, sheds,
Barns.
do. Yeah, I'm
it's a
saying
trailer,
this thing doesn't
it's
need
not a
a
shed, it's not a barn or a shed,
It's a
it's a
house.
trailer.
it's basically
Tiny
a
house,
shed.
it's a demonstration house.
Mobile building.
Yeah, it's a
trailer,
demonstration home, so it doesn't need.
On wheels.
You can move
They
it,
don't-
so who's gonna expect it? That's not a living thing, it's just something that's on a trailer, you don't need a
It's
building
attached to
permit
yeah,
to
the
but
do
you can
that.
ground.
sell it later on.
You
But
then
you don't need a
get
building permit for a trailer. I mean, I could put anything on a trailer.
They
Yeah,
could build
that's
it
what I'm saying. They
off-site.
need a
Right.
permit
It's
for it.
tested.
No,
It's a demonstration unit sitting
Right.
on a trailer,
But it could sit wherever they want it, you know?
pretty much.
I just wanna make sure I understand.
Let it go.
They don't plan on,
Let it go.
running a septic
Frozen.
or hooking power to it or.
No, that's the part of the sustainability part is that they're supposed to demonstrate you can collect rainwater, you can recycle gray water, you can
You don't need
use
any.
solar power,
Passive cooling.
off the grid. No 10-minute showers for you.
Okay, what else you got on for CEO report, anything?
Yes, we did talk to the Church of Christ from Johnsonville about their planned event.
Blocking the road?
They withdrew the whole idea of Route 151. There was a misprint in there. They said, no, we don't wanna block the highway. They do plan on having about 2,500 attendees for a church ceremony. According to our police department, when they did the last one, it was probably one of the most organized things they ever seen in their life. The buses arrived, they got out, because that was for the hike or the mile walk. They assembled, they did their mile walk, they had their little ceremony saying what their record was and how many people participated. And he said within a half hour, they broke out and they got back on the buses and were gone. So the only thing that they said, they'd notify the neighbors that we're having a church ceremony and invite them. They're going to be getting there early at 6 o'clock in the morning and the ceremony's over by noon and they figured they'd be back on their buses to their areas, by 1 o'clock.
6 hours in church.
Is that too long?
Yeah.
That's a good place to pick up.
So, anyhow, that's, they have 3 dates, but they're not sure which it's gonna be, and they're gonna notify us. It was either August 18th, August 25th, or September 1st. But, they were gonna put the final details to get it to us ahead of time.
How's their church doing? Is it fully restored now? I went by there the other day, it looks good.
They actually have to, I mean, they're doing that sort of work, but they wanna come before us for, special exception use, in addition, their handicap access to it, addition to handle bathrooms, a code compliant septic system,
This is the chapel you're talking
yeah, the little chapel.
about? Which can't hold more than 100 people, can it?
No, but they
pretty
wanna have that available, to use, so instead of coming with us basically with an overall plan, they said this is step 1. So,
I mean, that's good that they're gonna save it, so.
yeah,
It looks good. It looks that they're doing a good job with it.
Okay, so this is events moving forward, or at least they.
moving forward,
So, not to ask a question that can't be answered, but if, sort of bringing the church up to snuff, is phase 1, have they given any suggestion as to what the overall phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 25 is?
I think the problem is that internally there's 5 or so ideas and they haven't pinned it down amongst themselves to one. They've mentioned everything from having it like a retreat resort setting to residential to maybe not just having available for events. So they haven't brought those ideas to fruition yet as a whole.
So, restoring the church is kind of the least common denominator.
Yes, and one that, because it is a separate parcel of property and it's a standalone, no matter what they do, they're not really impacting the overall development plan to the rest of the property.
Okay.
And that's what we kind of talked to them quite a bit about, is to make sure that they did get into a situation where they did something that preempted them from doing what they wanted in the future, to really test the soil, figure out where they're gonna place things, and, leave the critical things like well and septic in place without damaging it.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nothing else.
Nothing else?
By doing the church first, would that make them automatically tax exempt within town?
Not particularly. That parcel, yes.
Just that parcel?
They haven't claimed that yet, right? They're still.
No.
paying. Actually, there's a couple of them that are still, they're paying.
Yeah.
No, they actually don't have to, but, and iPark is still. 2 of them that could be tax exempt at any time they decide, but they haven't done it. So. Yeah, quiet, no.
Had to bring that up, didn't
Oh, they know it. Anyway, okay, anybody else with any questions for Jim before we take a recess until the public hearing starts?
I move that we take a 10-minute recess till 8 o'clock.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resume at 8 o'clock.
Not quite, yeah,
You're not ready to go home?
no, I'm party.
You're having fun?
Adjournment, but